The massive limestone pillar, weighing over 15 tons, was deliberately buried beneath thousands of tons of sterile soil, sealed away from the light of day for over 10,000 years, as if someone was desperately trying to hide a massive crime scene from history. This is not a modern conspiracy. It is the chilling reality of Göbekli Tepe, an ancient complex in southeastern Turkey that predates the invention of metal tools, pottery, and even the simple wheel. The sheer existence of this site violates every established law of human development. You are looking at a monument constructed 6,000 years before Stonehenge, built by a society that officially did not possess the coordination, the population, or the physical tools to create it. Today, you will venture into the dark, dusty trenches of an archaeological mystery to uncover how a nomadic population organized a massive workforce to build a stone temple before the dawn of agriculture. You will witness the physical evidence that completely dismantles the standard narrative of human progress, and you will face the uncomfortable truth that a highly organized civilization existed at a time when we were supposedly nothing more than simple cave dwellers. Let us strip away the speculation and look at the hard, documented facts recorded by the German Archaeological Institute. In 1995, a German archaeologist named Klaus Schmidt arrived at a dusty, belly-shaped mound in the Jermus mountain range. What he found beneath the surface was not a simple settlement, but a massive complex of concentric stone circles. T-shaped limestone pillars, some standing over 18 feet tall and weighing up to 20 tons, were arranged in precise rings, their surfaces carved with stunningly detailed, high-relief depictions of predators. There were scorpions, spiders, fierce boars, and vultures hovering over headless figures, carved directly into the hard stone with nothing but crude flint tools. The dating of these structures is absolute and verified by multiple independent radiocarbon tests of the organic material found within the soil. This site was constructed approximately 11,600 years ago. Why does that number matter? Because at that point in the officially accepted history of our world, human beings were nomadic hunter-gatherers, living in temporary shelters of wood and animal hides, spending every waking hour searching for wild food. Yet, here stands a colossal megalithic sanctuary, requiring the coordinated labor of hundreds of skilled artisans, engineers, and laborers. The mystery deepens when we look at what is missing from the site. Excavations spanning nearly 3 decades have failed to produce a single domestic hearth, a single water source, or a single trace of domestic agriculture. There are no houses, no trash heaps containing domesticated grain, and no evidence that anyone actually lived here. It was a pure monument, a cathedral in the wilderness, built by people who supposedly did not even know how to farm. But the most disturbing revelation is not how they built it, but how they chose to end it. This was not a site that fell to decay, nor was it conquered by a rival tribe or destroyed by a natural disaster. Around 8,200 years before the Common Era, the entire complex was systematically, carefully, and completely buried under a mountain of soil, gravel, and animal bones. Think about the sheer madness of that act. They spent centuries carving these magnificent pillars, erecting them in complex patterns, only to spend just as much effort burying them under thousands of tons of dirt, sealing them in a pristine, artificial vacuum. How does a nomadic tribe coordinate the movement of 20-ton stone pillars without draft animals, wheels, or pulleys? Who fed them? Who organized the logistics of a multi-generational construction project when there was no administrative system, no writing, and no hierarchy? According to the official timeline of human history, complex social structures and division of labor only emerged after the rise of agriculture, when food surpluses allowed people to specialize in trades like masonry and priesthood. Yet Göbekli Tepe stands as a monument of pure defiance, proving that the temple came before the city and the monument came before the farm. The tools simply do not match the task. Archaeologists have found thousands of simple flint flakes and stone hammers scattered around the site, but nothing that could easily carve high-relief animal figures into solid limestone without fracturing. The precision is baffling. The pillars are aligned to astronomical phenomena with a degree of accuracy that should have been impossible for another several thousand years. The math is undeniable, and it reveals a devastating flaw in our understanding of our own past. It makes no sense. Researchers have scrambled to find an explanation that preserves the fragile timeline of human history, but every theory seems to splinter under the weight of the evidence. One prominent hypothesis suggests that Göbekli Tepe was a regional ritual center, a prehistoric pilgrimage site where scattered bands of hunter-gatherers met seasonally to trade, find mates, and perform rituals. Under this theory, the massive labor force was fueled by wild game, as evidenced by the hundreds of thousands of wild animal bones found in the backfill material. Yet, this theory fails to explain how these separate competitive groups maintained peace, communicated without a common language, or agreed on a singular, highly complex architectural plan that spanned centuries. Another theory points to the nearby Karacadag mountain, located just 20 miles away, which geneticists have identified as the exact birthplace of domesticated einkorn wheat. Some scientists argue that the need to feed the massive workforce at Göbekli Tepe is what actually forced humanity to invent agriculture. It is a neat, poetic explanation, but it contains a glaring, logical paradox. How did they survive long enough to build the first phases of the temple before the agricultural surplus even existed? You cannot feed 1,000 stone carvers on the promise of a future harvest that has not yet been invented. Then there are the astronomical theories, suggested by researchers who argue that the pillars are ancient star maps, recording a cataclysmic comet impact that occurred around 12,900 years ago. They point to the famous vulture stone, claiming its carvings depict constellations and the path of a devastating meteor stream. While mainstream archaeologists dismiss this as wild speculation, they have yet to offer a coherent alternative for why these specific animal motifs were repeated with such obsessive mathematical precision across multiple enclosures. Have you ever wondered if we are looking at the ruins of our ancestors or the remnants of something we aren't allowed to understand? The official archaeological reports are surprisingly silent on the deep sociological implications of these structures. While academic journals focus on the soil chemistry and the taxonomic classification of animal bones, they gloss over the terrifying reality that our entire model of human progress is built on a foundation of sand. We are taught a linear story. We crawled out of the caves, discovered farming, built towns, invented writing, and finally constructed monuments. Göbekli Tepe takes that neat, comfortable staircase of progress and flings it into the fire. We are looking at a society that possessed advanced engineering, astronomical knowledge, and complex social organization, yet left behind zero evidence of domestic development. They built for the gods, but lived like ghosts. There are no graves of the builders, no signs of warfare, and no indications of gradual technological evolution. It is as if this monument appeared out of nowhere, fully formed, a sudden spike of impossible sophistication in a world of primitive survival. The textbooks still claim agriculture came first, yet the soil of Turkey whispers a completely different story. Consider the sheer scale of the labor involved. To extract a single 20-ton pillar from the nearby limestone quarry, shape it, transport it several hundred yards uphill, and erect it upright requires a minimum of several hundred people working in perfect unison. This implies the existence of planners, overseers, master carvers, and a reliable food distribution network. In any other era, we would call this a state, but we are told this happened in the Stone Age. The official reports confirm that there are at least 15 more of these circular enclosures still buried beneath the soil, untouched by modern hands. We have only excavated a mere 5% of the entire site. If 5% of this site was enough to rewrite the history books, what lies buried in the remaining 95%? Why did they stop building? And more importantly, why did they decide to bury their greatest achievement? Could it be that they were trying to protect this knowledge from an impending global catastrophe? Or perhaps they realized that the social experiment they had started, the shift from nomadic freedom to settled hierarchy, was a curse they wanted to lock away forever. The chemical analysis of the backfill material reveals something even more bizarre. The dirt used to bury the site was not collected from the immediate surroundings. It was brought from elsewhere, carefully selected for its composition. It contains a massive quantity of flint fragments and animal bones that show no signs of weathering, meaning they were buried quickly, almost overnight. This was not a gradual accumulation of dust over millennia. It was a deliberate, massive undertaking, a reverse excavation that required just as much effort as the original building process. Stand in the shadow of those silent, T-shaped stone giants, and you will feel a profound, unsettling shift in your understanding of who we are. We are not the pinnacle of an unbroken chain of progress. We are simply the survivors of a forgotten cycle. The builders of Göbekli Tepe knew something about the world, or perhaps about the stars, that they felt was so critical, so vital, that they preserved it in stone and then buried it to keep it safe from the ravages of time. They did not want this place to be destroyed. They wanted it to be found when the time was right. It makes you realize that our current civilization is not the first to touch the sky, nor is it guaranteed to be the last. We are walking among the ruins of giants, blind to the true depth of our own heritage, clinging to a history book that has been missing its first chapters for thousands of years. Think about that for a second. The Earth is slowly giving up its secrets, but only to those who are willing to question the consensus. The truth is buried beneath our feet, waiting for the courage of those who refuse to accept the easy answers. We are only just beginning to dig. But as deep as this mystery buried in the soil of Turkey goes, there is another, even more unsettling discovery waiting in the dark corners of our past, a revelation so challenging to our understanding of human origin that it makes even the stone giants of Göbekli Tepe look like child's play. Keep looking, keep questioning, and be ready for what we uncover next.